Hello and welcome back to Crowwing FPV. I'm Matt, and this video is going to be testing out some batteries. So, full disclosure, I received these batteries here. These are RCHackers. These are a 1300 mAh 100C 6S battery. And they put a post on a Facebook group, and I jumped on it and just said, hey, I'd be happy to do a review. They saw that I'm also a photographer, so they asked that I take photographs of these on my quad, which I will. I'll get some photos of these before I actually fly these because I don't want to damage the batteries for the photos. However, my first instinct, taking it out of the box, and now I have not touched these yet. I just got these today. My first instinct taking these out of the box is that, wow, they're small. For a 1300 mAh 6S, they are very small. To me, they look like a 4S. And let's do a little comparison in size here. This is a CNHL Black Series, same stats, 1300 mAh 100C 6S. As you can see here, you're talking quite a bit of difference in size, length, and thickness is pretty much about the same, or the height, however you want to look at it. But this is pretty much the same exact stats of a battery, but this is CNHL, and I bought a couple of these just specifically for this video today. And when I compare these to, like, let's say, for instance, the Ovonics 1500 mAh, like right here, every size of it, every bit of it, the size, dimensions are identical to a 4S 1550 mAh 100C battery. So that has me a little bit on the concern side, is that they're small and they're not going to really hold a whole lot of a charge and fly the same amount of distance as one of these guys will. But if they do, I'll be happy as can be, because these are quite a bit smaller. So I'm going to actually plug this into the charger here in just a second, and we're going to see kind of what the resistance is on them and compare it to, like, for instance, the CNHL. So pretty much everything I'm going to do with this battery, I'm going to do with this battery, just to make a side-by-side comparison, since the CNHL is a known quality battery. I'm also going to remove the sheath, or the sleeve, or the protective covering, the first layer of the protective covering right here off of this, just so I can actually see the cells, because I'm not entirely certain that there's 6 of them in there. It's so, it's so compact for a 6S that it just kind of, but hey, I'm not a battery expert. I'm not an electrician. I'm not an electrical engineer or anything like that. So my judgment is going to be pretty much saved until I actually get out there and fly it, because that's really the only way that I know how to test it out to see how it works. Now, I know it's not a perfect way of doing it. It's not a scientific way of doing it. Probably the most ideal way to do it is to put the same amount of load on each battery, but I have no way of putting a load onto it in a, on a benchtop type experiment. I'm sure there's some things out there you can hook those into and run a load on it and take time, the amount of time on how long it takes and all that other stuff. I don't have it, so we're just going to do this redneck style. All right, so let's get to the downward view angle, and we're going to get to it. This is the difference between a CNHL 1300, all the same specs, right here, and the RCHackers 6S. That scares me, that size difference, because this is what I'm used to with a 6S battery, not this size. Now, when I grab this guy here, it's the Ovonic 1550 100C 4S. They are almost identical in size. So that has me a little bit on the concerned side, okay? But it doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Who knows? Like I said, I'm not a guru when it comes to batteries and stuff. 191 to 193 grams is the weight of the battery. The CNHL is 231, right around there. So you're looking at about 40 grams difference in weight. Now we grab the Ovanix 1550, bam, right there. See that? Look at 191. It's the same exact weight. 191, exact same weight. Here is the gold dot or gold dat, whatever, however that's pronounced. Anyway, it's a gold racing. 164, so it's about 30 grams difference on this one from that guy. So the next thing that I do when I first, actually the first thing that I do when I get new batteries in the mail is I like to plug them into my charger. And my charger will tell me what the resistance is on these. And that's kind of important to know, because if you have high resistance, it's not a good battery. So I'm going to plug this in. Normally I don't do it this way. Alright, just try and do it so I can keep it in the frame. So here I have here LiPo cells auto charge 4.23 volts per cell at a 0.8 amperage, okay, for the charge current. I'm going to hit start. Yes. Now I'm going to move this over to where it's showing what the volts are in each cell. When I move over to the next screen, you can see the resistance. These are 14, 15, 16, 16, 19, 32. That number 2 cell is sitting at 32 ohms of resistance. That's not good, and that's weird that these are all pretty close, but that's way up there at 32. Now I'm going to show you. Now these have not been charged yet, and I will recheck this after they charge, if I charge them, because that resistance is really bothering me about that cell 2. So I'm going to plug the other battery in and just take a look at it. Again, all the settings are the same. And we move back over to here, and here we are with cell 4 is up to 28. Now, when I first plugged these in, when I first did them, these numbers were all about 24, and that one was right around about 54, 58, right around there, and same with the other one. So I don't know why it's changed now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to charge it and see what happens with that one cell. So I'm going to stop it again. And I know I probably shouldn't be starting and stopping this, but this is for educational purposes. So now I'm going to put the CNHL battery onto here, which I know is a good battery. Brand new, it's a good quality battery. I'm going to plug this in, and we are going to take a peek at what the resistance is on this battery. All right, again, all the same settings. But we move over here to the resistance and look at the difference. Very, very, very low resistance on this battery, and that's really, really good. So this is a really good battery here, and you can see the resistance there. And then, 14, 15, that's, that's getting up there, but it's still a viable battery. But this shows what a good battery should look like. So my concern with this battery here, based purely on its size, and you can see the size comparison here, as you can see, I mean, we're talking quite a huge difference in size. Go side to side. And so yeah, I mean, you can see this looks more like a 4S battery. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm actually going to take this casing off of one of them. I'm going to take this casing here off, and I'm going to just take a look and see if there's actually 6 actual cells in this battery. So let's get to that. Now, this is not something I would recommend. And now, if I do crack this open and I see that there is 6 cells in there and stuff like that, I'm gonna charge it and I'm gonna fly it. But if there's only 4 cells in there and there's something hinky going on with the wiring, I'm not even going to charge these. I'm not going to touch them. They're just going to end up probably getting disposed of. Now, again, these were given to me, but that does not mean that I'm not going to give an honest review. And if it looks right, then, you know, and yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there is 6 cells in this battery. Just didn't feel like it earlier. I mean, everything seems all right. Definitely not the size of this, though. I think I'll still get out there, and I think I'm still going to fly this. I'm just going to wrap it in electrical tape now. I mean, everything inside there, they're using zinc plates, which is good. I see they're actually using that, I can't remember the name of it, that yellow tape that they use for when they make these. They got the padding up in here. You know, other than the resistance on these being a little funny looking, I think I'm gonna give it a shot and fly it, see what happens. So that will be the next part of the video. We'll be flying it and testing it and comparing it to the CNHLs. Okay, so this is going to be the 3rd time that I try this. 3rd time is a charm. I did have an issue with motor, ESC, several different things, and OSD didn't work the last time, so I tried it on a build that I built off an old frame. It was new components other than the motors, and something just wasn't right with it. The motor sounded wrong. It sucked the battery down like to nothing in no time flat. So here I am, and yes, I am driving, and no, it is not safe, but I'm not going very far. So I'm gonna test these out. I'm gonna fly them on my Nazgul 5 that I completely replaced pretty much everything on there and made it a success. New flight controller, new ESC, new VTX, new motors, you name it. It's all just rigged up and ready to go. The last time I went to fly it, I couldn't because the OSD wasn't showing up, and I'm not gonna fly without OSD. So what I ended up doing was I forgot to put the CLI commands in for HD0. And so, yeah, that was stupid of me. So it's all good and running fine. So we're going to go test this out and see how these RCHacker batteries compare up against the CNHL 1300 MAH 6S 100C batteries. Keep in mind that RCHacker batteries are significantly smaller, significantly lighter. They are the size of a 4S 1550 LiPo, which, you know, just, I mean, we're gonna have to see how they work. And hopefully they work really, really well, because I want to be surprised. So let's go see. All right, using a CNHL 1300 6S. This is 100C. I'm going to start it with this one, see how it goes, and then I'm going to switch over to the RCHackers battery, which is also 1300 6S. Oh, that's upside down. There we go. And we'll see how the time goes with those. So let's go have some fun.
just finished my first flight with the CNHL battery. I got 5 minutes, 28 seconds, I believe. I'll have to look back on the DVR. I feel like I still had a little bit more room. When I slowed it down, the battery, of course, it goes back up. I wasn't like pushing it. I wasn't like flying through everything because I didn't want to risk crashing just because I'm trying to do this review. So my goal is just to fly it around and see how long it goes until it gets to that, I start seeing it get below that 5.5 or 3.5 when I'm giving it some juice or a little bit of juice, just kind of like an average. So I'm going to bring the next one out, which is the RCHackers 6S. And I am going to kind of fly it exact same way. I know this isn't like purely scientific, but hey, if it flies for 2.5 minutes, then we definitely know that. Or if it flies for 5 minutes, then we definitely know. So I'm going to bring it out. I'll do some flips. I'll do some just cruising around for the most part. I'll do some, just give it some gas. And if you look, you can see my throttle. I have the throttle setting on the OSD, and you can see how I'm flying this and what, kind of the speed in a sense. So I'm going to throw that on there and see how that goes. I just finished my flight with the RCHackers 6S 1300 mAh motor, or sorry, not motor, battery. And I would say it's sufficient. I was, considering shocked. Now, one thing I did notice is that it did have a lot more sag. And that probably has to do with the size of it. I did almost get 6 minutes out of it with the flying that I had here. And it kind of feels like in order to have the speeds that I wanted to be at, I had to be at a little bit higher of a throttle. But it didn't seem to really affect the amount of time that it was in the air, which is surprising. It actually got a little bit more, and I pushed it a little bit more just to give it every chance that it possibly could have. I pushed it a little bit more than I did the CNHL. CNHL probably would have gotten about the same amount of time. But it does feel like it just didn't have the oomph that the CNHL does. However, for what they are and how much lighter and smaller that they are, they would make a fantastic cruising battery. Now, keep in mind, it is also 16 degrees out here, and that's not warm at all. So it's cold, and that does play an effect on batteries. So, let's say summertime or springtime, or it's 60, 70, 80 degrees out, I might actually be able to push that even more with more time on there, and maybe a little bit more oomph. Now, are these batteries 100C? With that sag, I'm going to say probably not. But I'll have to double check the price on them. I do think that they're very, very reasonably priced. And as far as going with something for cruising, I think they're perfect. I mean, you can still give it some throttle to get out of a situation or whatnot, which is fantastic. But I mean, they're so much lighter than the CNHL, which is huge and big and bulky. This is the size of a 4S, like 1550, as I've shown in the previous videos. So I would say it probably requires a little bit more further testing as far as really just beating on it and see how long I can get it. And I'm probably going to do that here in the next few days, and that will be in the next video where I'm going to be at probably a Bando or an abandoned warehouse or an unused warehouse for that matter, and we'll really put those motors or those batteries to the test. So thank you for watching, and here's some more information about these batteries. Here is just a quick comparison of the 2 times that I got out of both of these batteries. Pretty close. So I can't show you like a comparison of pricing without showing you some other prices of batteries. For instance, the RDQ 1300 is $35.49 each. The CNHL is $22.99 each. Both of these are the pricing from Race Day Quads. And here is the price from RCHackers, which you buy 2 of them for $36 plus shipping. So you're looking at, what, $36? They're pretty inexpensive batteries. That's what, $18 each for a 6S 1300 mAh battery. All right, so in conclusion, I would say that, for the price and for the size, being that they're like 40 grams lighter than like the CNHL, I would say that they're not a bad battery. They are a bargain battery, and I'm not convinced that they're 100C, seeing the battery sag and everything like that, and in my flight video. I mean, for what, $4 more, you can buy a CNHL, which will give you a lot more power. However, with that 40 gram difference and the size difference, these might be really, really good to run on like a 6S Cinewhoop, like a 4-inch, something a little bit smaller that requires something a little bit lighter and still has some juice to it. So, I mean, they're not a bad battery. I am pleasantly and happily surprised that these batteries worked out the way they did. So yeah, I would say if you're looking at buying some batteries and some of the other options aren't available, yeah, definitely grab these. They work. They fly fine. Now the next test is how long do they run when you're really beating on them, and we're gonna test that in a couple days. Today is Wednesday. Saturday I'm gonna be out with a group of guys doing some stuff, and we're going to be flying at a couple different locations. So I'm gonna put them through the ropes. I think that's the term. Put it through the ropes. Anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna beat up on them and just see how they do. So stay tuned for that video next.